Hi everyone, my name is Andrew Banson. I'm an application specialist at Civil Survey Solutions. In this video series, I'm going to be running through a typical urban road reconstruction. This is a job in Sydney that was undertaken by one of the councils in Sydney that used civil site design. I thought it'd be a great job to run through. Basically what these guys wanted to do was reconstruct the road so that there was new curb and channel running along the northern end, and they wanted complete independent control over the levels of the curb and channel. So part of this design will be coming up with suitable crossfall so that the driveways will still work and the crossfall of the road is not too flat or too steep. Down at the southern end, we're also going to reconstruct some curb and channel and add a new footpath as well. In regards to the existing roads here on either side, we weren't going to be reconstructing those, basically just adding in some curb returns into the existing edge. And I'm going to show you a technique in one of the later videos on how to tie in curb returns into an existing edge. The trick sort of involves creating a road object out of the existing edge of the road. So I'll get started. You can see they've already got some alignments created. In fact, I've got an alignment running up the centre line. The name of the street is President Street. I have another alignment to control the northern curb, and another offset alignment to control the southern curb. If I open up the template editor, I already have created a template called President Street. You can see the curb and channel on the left hand side and the right side with the footpath. One part of this job will involve configuring the sub-base, and I want to do so that we have full depth pavement about 600mm out from the edge of bitumen, and the rest will be a resheet. So for now, I'm just going to edit the section, and for both the left and the right, I'm going to delete or subgrade layers, and later on I'm going to show you how we can set those up. So when I create the road at the center line, we're going to raise the design about 50mm. So let's get started. I'm going to click on Create Road, select the alignment, and apply the President Street template. I'm going to set the sampling nice and tight to about 1 meter and click OK. So Civil Site Design has some great tools to automate a vertical profile, and this can be achieved using this big button with the green plus. You can do things like a resheet where you raise or lower the center line to achieve a minimum overlay. You can design by referencing other strings. You can design by referencing constraints, which I'll show you later on. What I want to do is reference a surface. I want to say for the whole length, reference the natural surface. But rather than getting an IP at every section, I want to use some fit parameters. I'm going to say with the tolerance of 50mm, I could make it 100, raise the design 50mm, and add a vertical curve length of 20 if it can fit it. So sometimes with these factors you need to have a bit of a play with them in order to get the design right. If I apply that, you can see that the software's designed at roughly 50mm above the surface. A few areas around the vertical curve where it's a little bit off, but what this gives me is a good starting point for the design. Now at the start and ends, we will be transitioning into the main roads here. but we'll set that up when we create road objects out of these edge strings. In fact, the software will transition for us automatically on that. Okay, so I'll close down the vertical grading editor. The next thing I want to do is begin work on the northern curb here. The first thing I'm going to do is turn the alignment, the offset alignment, into a string, and what that will give me is independent control over the levels. So I'm going to select on string profile and select on that string. Don't need to apply template because it's controlling the offset and levels of a code that exists on the main template. But once again, I'm going to tighten up the sampling and click OK. So the software's done its designer best fit. What I'm going to do is just open up a cross section for the main road. And I'll just turn on the codes so we can see those rather than the levels. Now in the cross-section view, it's very useful to be able to show as much information as possible, like other surfaces, alignments, or levels. So what I want to do is project onto that cross-section the position of that string I just created, which is called EB left, and I also want to show the level on that string as well. So I use the road option to do that. And then when I click OK, you can see I've actually positioned the alignment where I created the template, so the curb is in the right position already. So I'm not too interested in the offset as such, but that pink dot represents the level at that location. And as I move the levels on the string, you can see that red dot updating. So what I want to do is tell the software that that LEB code is going to adopt the level on that string. So to do so, I open up the design data form for President Street, and I add a variation called set code offsets and or levels to string and click OK. So I want the left edge of bitumen for the entire length. Now I could use two options here. Change offset and level would change the offset of LEB onto the alignment of the string, but the alignment exists on the same location as LEB at the moment, so I could use that one, but I could also just say, well, hold the offset at the current location, but change the level to adopt the level on EB left. So it'll do the same thing. If I click on add update, we can see now I'm getting a varying crossfall at that section, and if I move the levels of the curb through that section, you can see my main cross-section template update. Now it can be hard to set up a suitable design for the string just in this particular vertical profile view. What you can do in civil site design is create what we call design constraints, which are basically envelopes that project out from another code or string. So what I want to do on my curb design is project two grades from the road center line, say at -5% and -2%, and show those bands on this profile. And then as I'm designing the curb, I know if I can see straight away that I'm designing suitable crossfall. So to add the design constraints, you need to open up the design data form for the road or string you're working in. Click on design constraints. I want to project from the center line alignment, center line string, President Street. So I'm going to use from alignment design surface. You give these design constraints a name, so I'll call mine crossfall road. Pick the chainage range. I want to interpolate levels from President Street. and I want to project from the President Street alignment. So when you use this design constraint, you're often picking the same alignment here. I could offset with an additional offset location or level adjustment, but I'm going to say from that point project -2 and -5, and then I just pick some colors for those envelopes, and pinks and reds and blues look pretty good. I can always go in and turn those off by setting active to no. So when I select on Add Update, you can see that I have some bands appearing indicating those slopes, and if I design between them, you can see if I design outside I'm too steep, design above I'm too flat, but if I design in between the bands then I'm within suitable crossfall. So just a couple of tips: when you are moving the IPs up and down, you can notice that the software rescales the vertical grading editor for you, which can be a little bit annoying. By hitting this button here, you can temporarily turn off that scaling. So when you move the design, you can see the software is no longer scaling the vertical grading editor for me. Now, if I wanted the software to do an auto design based on one of those constraints, I select the button with the green plus, run constraints, and I'm going to tell the software to reference, we'll go the low constraint, which is the -2%. But once again, rather than the software adding an IP at that point at every section, I'm going to use fit parameters, and by doing so the software will smooth the design out for me. So I'll just apply that. So what the software's done is it's created an auto design using that top constraint, and it's a good sort of starting point for me. There might be a few areas where I need to tweak the design, but it's pretty close to that that constraint that I added. Right, but I can focus now on fixing that design up of the curb. Now, the other useful command that we could use to ensure a suitable design is run the driveway checker. I won't do it on this in this video, but we do have this command's well documented on our YouTube page, but I could set up the locations of the driveways, and then as I'm redesigning the curb, the software's running the vehicle, the standard B85 or B99 vehicle, and doing that check for me. So that's another thing that I could do on this project, but I won't. Okay, so that's all for this first video, and in the next video we'll go through and we'll set up the sub base for this road.